Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Now we are here to to discuss the lab session, the third lab session of TM111. Okay. Fine. Before we start with this, as we know that we have taken in the last meeting in TM111 in the last meeting, we talk about if else or selection, right? If you remember, we talk about selection, selection statements. So today we try to write a OU build program using selection. Today we try to write an OU build program using selection. Okay. So if you remember in the last meeting, in the last lab session, we write a small program about circle, right? Right? Do you remember this? Okay, this is your first session. How about the other students of Medina? Hi, Lahsa. طلاب مدينة حال وأحسن معنا. طلاب من مدينة حال وأحسن معنا. طيب. Do you remember what we did in our last lab session, lab 2? In the last week? So we discussed about if. Okay, last meeting we talked about selection, right? In the theory section, we talk about how to use the if else, right? So today's meeting, inshallah, we try to write an OU build program for selection. In the last lab session, يعني في آخر lab session الأسبوع الماضي هنا كنا نكتب we wrote one program OU build program for finding the area of circle, which is area is pi multiplied by the radius multiplied by radius. Right? We write an OU build for this. Simple OU build, we write it. We defined the circle as you see in this OU build. First, in an event, we set the variable called pi variable, okay, and we set the pi value to 3.14159. Okay, so when we click this flag, pi is set to this one. And next, when we press space, we ask the user to enter radius of circle, enter radius of circle, and we take a variable called radius, and we set the radius to the answer what we enter, and then we set another variable called area, and we set area to pi multiplied by pi is multiplied by r square, radius square, pi. So radius into radius is radius square, which is multiplied by pi, which is set to area. And then we say here area of circle is, we say the area. Okay, or if we want to put it these in one statement, we can use the join here, put area and this statement over here, and we put this say for, let's say, for 3 seconds. Okay, just check out this. Sorry. Okay, now we'll start by clicking this flag just to set the radius. Fine. To set the radius, sorry, to set the pi, then we press the space to enter radius of circle. So let's say we enter 2.3 and we got the area of circle. Okay. Now this is a simple program that does a calculation of finding the area of circle just by using the formula pi into r square. Clear? You got this program, how it works? Students online. How about the other students? MashaAllah, I see there are 22 students. Is it clear? Okay. Now, let's study more about the circle. Let's say this is a circle, right? This is center of the circle, and this is what we call the radius, r. Okay. So whenever there is a radius, for example, radius is 1, we have the area as 3.14159 into 1 into 1, which is 3.14159. This is the area of circle. This is what our program is doing. We set and then we press the space, as they enter the circle radius, we enter 1, we get the area. Okay. Now let us have some more cases with the radius. What if the radius is 0? If the radius is 0, what is the circle? Do you get a circle if the radius is 0? Students online, do you get the circle with the radius 0? It's like just a dot, I think. And if there is radius is 0, there is no circle. What if radius is minus value, negative value, for example, -1 or -2? Do you have any radius circle with minus value? -2. Do you find any radius with -2? Any circle, do you have any circle with the radius -2 or negative values? Are you sure? How it would be? And how do you draw a radius with a circle with radius -2? And this is a circle, right? And this is the center of the circle. And this is the radius of a circle. Okay? If the radius is 1, okay, we say that, okay, this is 1. Then radius is 2, we increase the radius. As the radius value increases, the circle goes bigger. What if the radius is negative? Counterclockwise, so it will go in this way, you mean? No, it will not be in that way. It will not be in that way. Actually, we need to understand some mathematics here. This is a circle. This is what center of the circle. Okay. This is the width of the circle, what we say. Fine. From the center, what is radius? Radius is from the center towards the end of the circle or towards the point, the half width of the circle. So this is the radius. Okay. And the degree of radius is 90 degree. Fine. The whole width is 180 degree. So this one, this is the radius. Either you put it in this way or you put it in this way. This is the radius. And it counts in a positive, not in negative. It counts in positive. Yeah, this is the center, right? From the center 1 centimeter towards, and we make a circle. This becomes the radius. And if it is 0, there is no circle. Might be just a dot. And if it is negative, there is no negative value for the radius. Clear? So a bit of mathematics here. How about Yumna? Yumna, is it clear to you? So there is no negative for the radius type. So in this case, when we consider that we can have a radius, fine, sorry, we can have a circle with a positive radius, and if it is 0, okay, there is no circle for it, and if it is negative, it is an invalid radius. Okay, so what if, for example, in this program what we did, we press the space bar, ask for the radius. If we enter a positive value, it's okay, that's fine. But when we enter a negative value, for example -2, still we get the radius, right? Which should not be, sorry, still we get the area, which should not be. So we allow only positive numbers. Even if it is 0, if I press space bar and enter 0, the circle area is 0. Okay. Now we can control the program saying that if the user is entering the radius less than 0 or greater than 0, if it is greater than 0, we allow to calculate the radius, we allow to calculate the area and display the area. If it is not, then we say invalid radius. Okay. So in this case, what we need to do here is we need to check the radius. We need to check the r. If this r is greater than 0, then we allow to calculate area. Otherwise, we say invalid radius. Okay, and give some hint that to enter a positive value to find the area, enter a positive radius to find the area. So in such cases, we are going to use the if else statement here before we calculate and say this. Okay, so we need to check if the area is what we enter, sorry, if the radius what we enter is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then we allow this to happen. Okay, otherwise we simply say invalid radius, try some positive numbers and say press space positive numbers by pressing space key or space bar. Okay, now let us put this and now try with, we first set the pi and then press the space, enter a positive number 2, we have the area. Okay, again we press the space, enter -2, it says invalid radius, try some positive value by pressing the space bar. Okay, so for example -2 says invalid radius, some positive numbers by pressing the space bar. So this can be done by using the selection, that is by using the if else. So if you want to check more for this, for example, if not greater than 0 and if it is less equal to 0 or less than 0, we can still add inside this in the else part, okay, and if else, and we can still check if it is equal to 0, if the radius is equal to 0, then we say, without doing any calculation, we can directly say area of circle is 0, or you can say it is a circle cannot have the radius 0, or you can say that the area is 0 directly without doing any calculations, because calculations take the time of the CPU, take the computer. Okay, so we can put this one, and if it is less than, else it is less than, then we say invalid radius. Okay, and we directly say ask them to press this. This is nested if inside another if. Okay, so with this enter the radius, for example +2, it's okay, we have this. Okay, and if it is for example -2, it says invalid radius. Okay, and if it is 0, area is 0. Fine. So this is how we use the if else statements, that is the selection statements in programming. Okay, so any program that you want to implement this selection, first we check the problem that what it needs to check. Okay, the problem must clearly state that we need to check for some input, okay, to produce the output. Then we use this selection. So you need to decide which selection to use and how you place the selection in a more efficient way so that your program will run perfectly for the given problem. Okay, so is this clear? The use of the selection statements. Good. Do you have any questions? Any questions to ask? See, in this OU build, there is no any variable, a defined variable for pi. So we are defining the pi first and then using that pi. Okay. In other languages, you may find pi is predefined, the pi value. Like in Java, pi value is predefined by the Java itself. So there we can directly use from the math class pi. But here in OU build, pi is not defined. Okay, we don't find pi. So even for example, if you check in this, we don't have pi. Fine. So we define first pi and use that pi value, pi variable in our program. Okay, so this is about the program. From here, go back and you try to implement this program in your laptops, in the computers, with using the OU build to get an idea about using selection statement, using if else in OU build, and having a general idea about the selection statements in programming. Okay, let me take your attendance